everybody, welcome back to the Trading Post. It's me, Fred Martin, and the star of the show, Noodle. Yeah, you got them damn hiccups again, brother. Huh? You gonna tell them what we're gonna talk about today? What are we gonna talk about today? We're on Fred Files, episode 10, the real Jason Vorhees and the Lake Bodom murders. All right, we're gonna talk about that today. I hope you guys are ready because, this is something that I didn't even really recognize or realize was actually a real thing. And we're going to talk about the similarities of the actual murders that have happened and the similarities to the actual movie of Friday the 13th. Okay? So you guys hang tight. My little buddy, he's still half asleep. I gotta check on my buddy. Give me 1 second and we'll be right back with you, okay? Just hang tight. All right, everybody. Let's get into this one, right? Let's get into this. I hope you guys are excited. This was an exciting one to do. I mean, I can't say any one subject that I've done is more exciting than the other. It's all enthralling. It's all exciting. Every one of them. And as I've said, and I'm going to continue to say this, is every episode that I do is ridiculously crazy. Like there's always some kind of surprises on every one of them. I never really stopped to think, is there actually a real Jason Voorhees? Ever. We've all seen these movies. This is like a cult classic. This is a movie that's been around for generations. Grandmothers, mothers, and then the kids actually have seen this movie, right? Like, there's just so many of them that have been, my God, dude. And I've never even stopped to think about this, right? So we're gonna get into this, okay? I'm sorry, it feels like I'm dragging it on, but I'm just trying to introduce this, and I'm trying to tell you my aspect on it, and the fact that I never really even thought this was never even really much of a thought in my mind, because you don't think about it. Like, we go on about our lives. We watch the movie. Oh, that was a cool movie. Scary as hell. And then we move on, right? But, I can't remember who it was. Somebody said, every ounce of fiction is steeped in reality, in fact. Okay? And I have no doubts that statement is very, very true. Okay? So let's go ahead and move on. All right? We're going to talk about this. And by the way, before I get started, let me stop and let me throw a shout out to my man, right? The introduction music to this video was by Red Reaper 8892. Go out and check out his site. He plays music. This dude can shred. He can do his thing. I mean, he's a musical aficionado, right? So check out his stuff. Show him some love, right? That's my man. He did the intro for this. So I hope you guys liked it. I hope you guys enjoy it. That damn gnat is still flying around in this. Listen, man, I ain't trying to get pissed off because I'm going to say some shit I don't want to say. But anyhow, let's get started on this, all right? But I wanted to get that out of the way. Now listen, I'm going to say it one more time. I'm going to reiterate this. Red Reaper, REDREAPER, 8892. Okay? That's my homeboy that you heard that played the intro music for this episode. If you want to hear more music, if you want to see more interesting stuff on his channel, check it out. I highly suggest it, okay? And while we're on the subject, I have another friend I'd like to throw a shout out to. He's the one that kind of helped me start whenever I built this stuff up. Is Appalachian Firearms. Go out and check out his stuff. He's got some awesome videos. You know, he's funny as hell. He does a lot of he does very professional interviews and reviews, I should say, on different guns, the way they fire, things like that. He gets into specifics on it, okay? I apologize. That caught me off guard. Anyways, go check out Appalachian Firearms and Red Reaper 8892. All right? Those are my dudes. Check them out. Give them some love. You know, tell them what's up from the trading post, right? Anyways, let's get started. All right. Now, the Lake Bodom murders were 4 teens where 4 teens were brutally attacked, with 3 of them dying, bears striking resemblances to Friday the 13th. Okay? Many members of the franchise's production team denied that the original Friday the 13th was based on a true story. But a 1960 massacre in Finland shares similar details to the movies. Friday the 13th has solidified itself as a horror classic, spawning an impressive number of sequels and making Camp Crystal Lake the most feared getaway in America. Comprising 12 films. 12 films. Are you shitting me? I didn't think they had that many, but that's news to me. God damn, they've been pumping some shit out. Okay, the franchise and its iconic killer, Jason Vorhees, the franchise have progressively become more extreme, with some of its entries serving as straight-up sci-fi fantasy, which is absolutely true. Despite the expansion, the simplicity of the original movies gives the franchise its fearsome reputation, as they depict a horror that's feasible in real life. These similarities have fueled speculation that this is where the story in Friday the 13th came from. It's definitely, arguably, through the Finland massacre that there was a real-life Jason Voorhees. All right? Fittingly, the Friday the 13th series began with the original 1980 slasher movie. Despite some misconceptions among horror neophytes, these movies didn't start out featuring Jason Voorhees as the main antagonist. Instead, the first killer was his mother, Pamela Voorhees, who sought vengeance upon the sinful youth of Crystal Lake. Years before her son, Jason, was at the lake's camp, though he was supposed to be watched by counselors on duty, these young adults were instead busy becoming particularly frisky with each other. With no one watching him, Jason drowned, which led to his grief-stricken mother killing several new teens at Crystal Lake a year later. Pamela is beheaded in the climax by the movie's final girl, but Jason Voorhees shows that he's not quite as dead as believed. Survivor Alice hallucinates that a boy who's surely Jason tried to drag her into the watery depths of Crystal Lake. In the movie's sequel, Alice is killed by the real Jason Voorhees, who's now older and seeking similar vengeance for his mother. From there, he goes on to enact a series of evil murders recounted in the bulk of the franchise's entries. This eventually sees him go to hell, into far-flung future in space, and even face-to-face with fellow slasher Freddy Krueger. The sequels got increasingly outlandish, but some still wonder if Friday the 13th was based on a true story. The answer may lie in the infamous Finland massacre that possibly inspired Jason Voorhees. Now, during a Finnish summer, we're going to go into the actual murders that we expect or suppose based Friday the 13th off of. Okay. During a Finnish summer in 1960, 4 teens, 2 girls, and 2 boys went on a camping trip to the isolated area of Lake Bodom. They set up tents along the lake's edge. Already, this bears similarities to Friday the 13th, Crystal Lake. Friday the 13th's Crystal Lake, where the movie's group of young adults go to visit a campsite. Unfortunately, for the real-life campers, the parallels don't end there. On June 5th, 1960, a group of young birdwatchers claimed to have witnessed the tent collapse from a distance and a blond man fleeing the scene. A local carpenter later stumbled upon the campsite to discover the brutal crime scene. 3 of the campers had been stabbed to death, and one of the boys, Nils Gustafsson, was found alive but unconscious. He sustained multiple stab wounds and facial fractures. Once police arrived, Nils claimed that someone broke into their tent in the early hours of the morning and attacked. The severity of his injuries matched his story, and Gustafsson was initially cleared as a suspect. The randomness of the attack meant there was little for police to work with, although the strangest of all was Gustafsson's description of the attacker. As he was awoken in a tired state, he claimed to have seen a man dressed in black with bright red eyes. Of course, this didn't help the police in their investigation, and given crude investigation methods at the time, evidence at the crime scene was ruined by people casually walking over it. That has to be frustrating for the people that's investigating the crime. Anyways, let's move on. With Gustafsson's creepy description, combined with the brutality of the seemingly unprovoked murders, it seemed as though these unfortunate teens had met their own Jason Voorhees. While the Friday the 13th murders at least had a clear culprit in the mother of Jason Voorhees, the 1960s Lake Bodom murders lacked concrete suspects, and to this day, the murders remain unsolved. Wow. Now, we're going to go into the people that were suspects, I should say. Okay? Number 1, Carl Valdemar Gillstrom. Gillstrom was known to be aggressive toward campers, but at the time of the investigation, there was no evidence that pointed towards Gillstrom. He also had an alibi, with his wife confirming he was in bed at the time. To confuse things further, Gillstrom confessed to the murders 9 years later in a suicide note. Are you shitting me? Okay. All right. Well, let's keep that little feather on our hat for now. All right, let's move on to the next one. Hans Assmann, a KGB spy who had recently moved into the area. Assmann told police he was in Germany at the time of the murders. Police let him go, but recent evidence suggests he was seen in Finland on the morning of the murders. All right. So let's keep that evidence in the back of our heads, all right? Yeah, we're going to use our brains today. All of us. Not just me, but you too. Okay, so the next one. Let's go to the next suspect. Was Nils Gustafsson. the sole survivor of this horrific attack. Gustafson may have been disregarded as a suspect initially, but in 2004 he was back on the suspect list, with investigators re-examining what little crime scene evidence they had. They found no traces of Gustafson's blood, which in itself seems odd when considering how brutally he was beaten and stabbed during the attack. Despite DNA tests showing blood of the 3 remaining victims present on his body, he was arrested in March 2004, over 40 years after the fact, and put on trial, only to be acquitted of all charges in October of 2005. The Finnish government was forced to pay restitution for mental trauma incurred by the trial. From the brutal lakeside murders to the creepy suspect descriptions, the event certainly resembles the original Friday the 13th and the killings that spawned Jason Voorhees. Even if this tragic event wasn't the inspiration for the initial Friday the 13th film, it goes to show that more often than not, reality is more horrifying than fiction. The fact that no conclusive killer ever emerged adds to the mystery and even lends it a grisly romanticism similar to the infamous Jack the Ripper. Now, we're going to go into the Wikipedia on this. We're going to dive into it. Okay, so we did the wiki on the Lake Bodom murders. Now, it tells me the location is Espoo, Uusimaa, Finland. Date, Sunday, June 5th, 1960. The attack type was murder. The weapons were a knife and a blunt instrument. How many deaths was 3. Injured was 1. Perpetrators are still unknown. Now, the Lake Bodom murders is one of the most infamous unsolved homicide cases in Finnish criminal history. On June 5th, 1960, at Bodom Lake in Espoo, Uusimaa, Maila Bjorklund and Anja Maki, both 15, and Seppo Boisman, 18, were killed by stabbing and blunt force trauma to their heads while sleeping inside a tent. The 4th youth, Nils Gustafsson, then aged 18, was found outside the tent with broken facial bones and stab wounds. Despite extensive investigations, the perpetrator was never identified, and various theories on the killer's identity have been presented over the years. Gustafsson was unexpectedly arrested on suspicion of committing the murders in 2004, but he was found not guilty the following year. Now, we're going to jump into the subject of the murders itself. Okay? On Saturday, June 4th, 1960, 4 Finnish teens had decided to camp along the shore of Lake Bodom, near the city of Espoo's Oita Manor. Maila Ermeli Bjorklund and Anja Tuliki Maki were both age 15 at the time. Accompanying them were their boyfriends, Seppo and Taro Boisman and Nils Wilhelm Gustafsson, both age 18. Sometime between 4 a.m. and 6 a.m. EET, during the early morning hours of Sunday, June 5th, 1960, Maki, Bjorklund, and Boisman were all stabbed and bludgeoned to death by an unknown assailant. Gustafsson, the only survivor of the massacre, had fractured facial bones that appeared to confirm his story of being a victim. He stated afterwards that he had seen a glimpse of an attacker clothed in black with bright red eyes coming for them. At about 6 a.m., a group of boys birdwatching some distance away had reportedly seen the tent collapsed and a blond man walking away from the site. The bodies of the victims were discovered at about 11 a.m. by a carpenter named Esko Oiva Johansson. He alerted the police, who arrived on the scene at noon. Now, we're going to talk about the initial investigation. Okay. The killer had not attacked the victims from inside the tent, but instead had attacked the occupants from outside with a knife and, and an unidentified blunt instrument, possibly a rock, through the sides of the tent. The murder weapons have never been located. The killer had never or had taken several items which detectives found puzzling, including the keys to the victims' motorcycles, which themselves had been left behind. Gustafson's shoes were partially hidden approximately 500 meters from the murder site. The police did not cordon off the site nor record the details of the scene, later seen as a major error, and almost immediately allowed a crowd of police officers and other people trample around and disturb evidence. The mistake was further exacerbated by calling in soldiers to assist with the search around the lake for the missing items, several of which were never found. Bjorklund, Gustafson's girlfriend, was found undressed from the waist down and was lying on top of the tent and had suffered the most injuries out of all the victims. She was stabbed multiple times after her death, whilst the other two teenagers were slain with less brutality. Gustafson was also found lying on the top of the tent. Now, suspects. There have been numerous suspects over the course of the investigation of the Lake Bodom murders, but the following are the most notable. Number 1, Valdemar Gilstrom. Many local people suspected Carl Valdemar Gilstrom, a kiosk keeper from Oita, known to have been hostile towards campers. Police found no hard evidence to link him to the actual murders. They were skeptical of supposed confessions he was said to have made because they considered him disturbed. He drowned in Lake Bodom in 1969, most likely by suicide. The people in the town knew Gilstrom was violent, cut down tents, threw rocks at people who came to his street, and some have later said that it was Gilstrom they saw coming back from the murder scene, but were too afraid to call police about him. The police never recovered DNA from Gilstrom. A book released in 2006 brings up the theory in detail. The book also claims that the police almost immediately ignored much more evidence that was previously unknown to the public because of language barriers, among other things. Now, let's go to the next suspect. Hans Assmann. Most public suspicion focused on Hans Assmann, who lived several kilometers from the shore of Lake Bodom. A series of popular books promulgated a theory of Assmann committing the Bodom killings and other murders. It was not taken seriously by the police, as Assmann had an alibi for the night of the murders and was said to have been in Germany during the time of the murder. On the morning of June 6, 1960, however, he was shown up at a hospital in Helsinki with bloody clothes. Hans was also suspect in 5 other cases, even confessing to one on his deathbed. Now, we're going to go to the next person that was a suspect. Now, this person's name is Pentti Soininen. During the mid-60s, an individual named Pentti Soininen, known for his violent tendencies, claimed to a fellow inmate that he was responsible for the murders that occurred at Lake Bodom. However, he was approximately 14 years old at the time of the murders. Many question whether he could have single-handedly overpowered 4 older teens, casting doubt on his involvement. Well, if he had a weapon, he could easily coerce them to make them think that everything's going to be okay if they just follow his instructions, and then just kill him when he's ready. So that's a possibility as well. So let's go ahead and go to the next one. And we're going to go to the arrest and trial of Nils Gustafsson. In late March 2005, almost 44 years after the event, Gustafsson, not a suspect in the case as far as the public knew, was arrested. In early 2005, the Finnish National Bureau of Investigation declared the case was solved based on new forensic analysis. According to the prosecution's interpretation of the bloodstains, Gustafsson had been drunk and excluded from the tent when he attacked the other boy, getting his jaw broken in a fight which escalated into him committing 3 murders. The trial started on August 4th, 2005. Gustafsson's defense lawyer argued that the murders were the work of one or more outsiders and that Gustafsson would have been incapable of killing 3 people given the extent of his injuries. It had always been known that the shoes worn by the killer and hidden by him 500 yards away from the tent belonged to Gustafsson, who was found barefoot on top of the tent. Now, modern DNA analysis was significant for the prosecution as it showed that the 3 murdered victims' blood was on Gustafsson's shoes, but Gustafsson's was completely absent. Okay? So, the prosecution said it followed from the lack of Gustafsson's blood on the shoes that his injuries had occurred at a different time to the attack on the murdered victims, and that the only explanation of this was that Gustafsson had committed the murders, then faked the theft of items by hiding them, further injured himself, and then went back to the tent where, now barefoot, he pretended to be unconscious. The prosecution attempted to bolster their case by alleging an identification by 2 bird watchers of Gustafsson as the tall blonde man at the scene of the crime, an assertion that he had been overheard making an incriminating remark, and also that a decade after the event he had boasted to women about his guilt. Now, on October 7, 2005, Gustafsson was acquitted of all charges. The court explained the verdict as due to the prosecution evidence being inconclusive. Failure to show Gustafsson had a motive appropriate to a crime of such extreme seriousness and certainty about the facts, now being impossible, given the time that had elapsed. The state of Finland paid him $44,900. I don't know, it's like a C with 2 lines in it. I don't know what that is. For mental suffering caused by the long remand time. But he was refused permission to sue Finnish newspapers for defamation. Well, freaking well. All right, y'all. We're at that point in time. So y'all got to get with it, right? Y'all tell me who do you think's the real Jason Vorhees, right? Everybody's got an opinion, so just throw them out there. Let me know. All right? I want to see what you guys think. Who do you think was the real Jason Vorhees? It's a pretty interesting story, isn't it not? And who in the hell knew that there's a possibility that there was an actual real Jason Voorhees? To me, it sounds like this murder mystery right here, this case, to me was the basis for Friday the 13th. Friday the 13th, period. There's too many similarities. Now, when they created the movie, maybe at that time, they didn't even know nothing about it. But I'm sure at some point they heard about it because somebody probably put 2 and 2 together and they said, oh, hey, man, that sounds kind of like the Lake Bodom murders. So then they start researching it. Then they find information on that. And then they probably collated, like the rest of the movies was probably collated with facts about that to make it as realistic and authentic as they could. Which they did a damn good job of doing because that movie scared the shit out of me when I was a kid. First of all, what are you going to do with a muscle bound dude just coming at you with a machete? And you can't shoot the dude; he doesn't die. You're really not going to face this dude at all. So, and that's part of the dramatized side of it. I'm just trying to tell you the evidence as far as it goes with the real life Jason Voorhees. So you tell me who you think it was. Tell me if you think that it was, maybe she was just kidnapped by Sasquatch. Maybe the aliens took her. Who knows? I'm not going to claim either thing because I don't know enough about any of that. I'm sorry. I don't know enough about that to say yay or no, yay or nay about it. But I will tell you this much. Yeah, this episode was really interesting. It was a really good one to get into. I just want you people to. I want you I want you all to reply back. Stop pissing around, okay? And just reply back. Tell me your thoughts on this. Do you think was this scary? Was it horrifying to know that there was a situation like this, a real life murder? That they kind of expect maybe the real life, did it, but I don't honestly know what to think. All I can tell you is a simple fact that y'all need to check into this stuff, and if you want to research the subject, look it up. If you find anything that I missed on it, we can go ahead and redo excuse me, we can do a reboot on this episode where I got more information. If you pull enough to make it worth it, yeah, we'll do it. Okay, we'll try and do it, but obviously if it's just not enough to equal out, then there's no sense in it. I will tell you guys that this was a really, really good episode to do. I love mysteries. I love, the paranormal aspect of things, which is wild and crazy, But, yeah, I think. Oh, I'm so sorry. I can't help it. I just keep yawning. I don't know if it's allergy. I don't know what's going on. Anyways, just know this that no matter what, I'm gonna be there for you. And you don't have to worry. You don't have to worry. So I'll get started on get my blood drawn for 3 or 4 or 5 more times. I don't even know. And then we'll go ahead and we'll try to pick up where we left off. Okay. Maybe we'll make a part 2 on it, and it'll be all the extra added-on bullshit we got. Sorry to say bullshit, but I'm just gonna be honest with it. You know what I mean? I don't pull no punches around here. But anyways, as far as it goes, that's what we got. If anybody has any theories, ideas, whatever, just shoot them to me. If you got a picture or something or other, just send it to me. Or if you have a theory on this or that, send it to me. Yeah, we're gonna check this stuff out. We ain't playing no more. But the point is, like, I just want to get that off my chest. Let you know, throw another shout out to Red Reaper 8892, and to throw another shout out to Appalachian Firearms. Go check out my buddies, man. These dudes they're working hard, making content, creating it for you. They're both very talented people, very, very talented, and I recommend them to anybody. Just check it out. There's no obligation. You don't have to subscribe to shit until if you feel like you want to. So go over to their channel, check them out, type them in the search bar, whenever. And if you do go over and check them out, I want you to throw a comment in my video and say, you know what, dude was good. He was playing awesome on guitar, or dude, this other dude, he was awesome. He's a good person. stand-up individual. You know, I feel comfortable with them. You know, that's what we want. We want the I don't know. I guess you could probably call it that we want the synergy flow. You know, where everything's just balanced. There's nobody cussing nobody out. They're not acting like a shithead. Um, but that's what we want. We want that level of peace. And honestly, I'm kind of jealous because I feel like, you know, this dude right here in front of me, he's got freedom galore, you know. But no, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and take care of some shit here. I want you guys to understand that it does take a minute to get this all put together. I'm trying to make it interesting for you guys. You know, hence the reason why I had my buddy do the intro music. It's definitely different. It's an original that he made. So, um, you know, do me and my fans courtesy, and like I said, if you're broke down or something like that, you know, just put your signs out as quick as you can so nobody runs you over. You don't want to get hit. That's a dangerous risk to run. Um, but as far as it goes, I think everything seemed to be pretty good. I just gotta confirm that. But anyways, you guys have a great night or day, whatever time of the day or night it is, wherever you're at. I gotta go ahead and get myself bundled up, go check on my buddy Noodle, make sure he's good, and you know, and we'll see you guys on the next. We'll see you on the next one, hopefully, and you know, tell some of your friends, say, hey, you know what, check this out. You know, either they're going to check it out or they're not. I mean, it's all full freedom here. You know, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, I want that swath of this or that cut out of the rock. You know, they're going to look at me like I got four heads. Like, oh, who the fuck are you? Well, until I tell them who I am, then they really won't know. But yeah, we're gonna have a good one, you guys. And like I said, that's oh shit, what was that? Fred Files episode 10? Yeah, Fred Files episode 10, the real life Jason Voorhees and the Lake Bodom murders. Okay? If you guys got any questions, throw them down on the link below. Email me at the trading post 8124 at gmail.com, and I'll be glad to answer any questions you have. If you have any theories or any things like that, speculations, conspiracy theories, whatever, if you want to send them to me, send them to me. You know, if you have any ideas on how I can better my videos, if there's something that irritates you or something that you feel that, you know, if I did a tweak or something like that or a modification that would make things better. Is my volume down too low? Do I need to bring it up for you guys every time I post a video? So that way, you know, we're not going to have a lack of communication where you don't hear me. I'm just taking all this into stride because I come to expect you're going to have these issues. You're going to have a hardship, you know. Nothing's easy and nothing's free in this life. So, but I'll go ahead and keep you guys updated on this as we come along. We may have a part 2. We may have a part 3 even. I don't know. But we'll see when we get there. Okay. But as it goes, as far as I know, it's Fred Files episode 10. The real life Jason Voorhees and the Lake Bodom murders. Okay. So do yourself a favor, you know, and don't stress over anything. Everything's gonna be all right, y'all. And like I say, we live, laugh, and love because tomorrow isn't promised to anyone. So you guys, y'all have a great night. I love you, my Trading Post family, me and Noodle both, from the bottom of our hearts. Thank you. And tune in for the next one. We'll see you later. Bye.